new charts or something?
That's what they wanted me to tell them.
Sure.
All right, so for deliberation, last time we each made a list of our top 3, and then we took the top 2 out of the cumulative list, the 2 that were on the most individual lists, and debated those 2. Does that work for everybody to do again,
Yeah,
or do you want to do it a different way?
no, I like it.
Jim?
I mean, they are so close in my scoring this time around, there really wasn't a huge difference between 1 and 5, to be honest with you. It's whatever the rest of you guys would like to do. To go through 5 tonight, I don't know if we'll have a deliberation tonight, but, you know. It's up to you.
Do you want me to start with my top 3?
Is that how you guys want to do it? Is that
Sure.
Okay.
Do we want, I mean, we want to try and get this done tonight.
I mean, I think that's like,
Well, I personally not want
Right.
Keep kicking this can down the road.
Right.
I'd like to let the developers, whoever wins, get the notice and get going. So my top.
Hang on one second, we're gonna make a list here, and then I'll give a little tally for each list that they're on. All right, top 3.
All right, would have been Todd Shaw. I was very intrigued, especially adding the park to the side, and more importantly, creating a solution for parking spaces. I thought that was very good. Greg Canfield, I like the concept of that being an extension of his hotel. That does draw people in, and just have some concern with Greg about the timeline. The Copper Rock was my 3rd. I liked a lot of what they had to say. Their eagerness to do projects here, so I think that was my top 3. And then it would have been the Edge and then the Barkises, because I don't feel that $60,000 for Eric and them was not even in the ballpark, because you're gonna blow that just in foundation repair.
Did he say more like up to 100K? Yeah, 50 to 70 and up to 100, but not
I
a
think
whole
they
lot.
were planning on just
Using the existing
Where are they?
building.
leaving,
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
leaving
yes,
the
yes.
building and making it better.
Mhm.
I'll have to wait till deliberation to come up with an order because they're pretty close. But I had the exact same top 3, only because those were the 3 that were proven entities that will do a project and will do it correctly and will make it beneficial to the community.
Yep.
Copper Rock, Shaw, and Canfield.
Yep.
In what order? Or,
I can't, I'll come up with that in a minute.
okay.
They were very close,
That's
very,
kind
very
of a
close.
pass the buck approach.
Well, we're only ranking.
Okay, fine.
No,
Yeah.
pick
Look,
one.
you're not even making your $35 tonight.
Yeah, this
What?
is a free meeting.
Okay. This in order, Copper Rock, Edge, and Canfield. Do I need to explain
You
anything?
can if you want, you don't have to.
I was intrigued by the thought of a 6-story building. And, yeah, I know it would create parking problems, but I'm sorry. Those are my 3.
And I had Greg, Copper Rock. The other 3 were extremely close, but it ended up being the Deans with my 3rd choice. Todd went down a little bit because proven track record to complete projects in a timely manner. That's what got me a little bit, because that other one dragged out for a long time, but.
Well, we were kind of leaving.
Yes, it was mutual why it dragged out, but it wasn't pretty. But other than that,
I am the Edge, Copper Rock, and Shaw.
Okay, so
Greg.
5 for Copper Rock, 4 for Greg, so those are the top two, so let's debate those two.
That was 5 for you, just checking your math.
1, 2, 3, 4, yes.
So it's a tie. We give those two guys baseball bats. We go to sneakers.
And I'm
glad
older,
we're not wrestling.
I'm older than he is, that's not fair.
So we got 5 for copper and 5 for.
5 for Campbell, yeah.
Okay.
Technically not. I said Copper Rock, Shaw, and the edge.
Yeah, so I only have
Oh.
4. I only have 4 for Greg.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
Good job, Leah.
So if
She can count.
I can, to 4.
Yeah, there's
Can you believe
15,
it?
so
It's still,
5 and 4 is 9, 12,
Yeah.
15, yeah, you're right. So Greg did only have 4, he tried to steal a 5th vote there. So, but they're the top two either way.
Right.
It's total is total. So let's debate those two. Pros, Copper Rock. Marty.
I like the forward design thinking of it. I don't know if a 6-story over there is the correct one, but I think a trip to, Mike came from over in Fenton to look at that building that sits on the corner. It's actually a 4-story, but it looks like a 3. Would be a good trip for you because it's an interesting concept. I think that Copper Rock, I see being in the industry, I see no reason that they can't have their team on the ground and running probably shortly after the ink dries. So that's my opinion there.
I feel the same way. I feel like they have the infrastructure in place. My concern is if planning doesn't go for 6 stories, then what direction does the project take? And
Well, I believe they addressed that.
Yeah.
with ideas, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But with execution, there'll be a wait and see, I think.
Hang on. Well, I wrote a lot of stuff down. Well,
Mhm.
I did not get the impression that it was 6 or nothing.
No, I didn't either.
No, I asked the question, if the variance was not approved, would they still continue
I think-
with the project at a 3-story if that's what it
Yeah.
came back?
He came back with a 4-story where they like.
Right.
Would be, the other two only increased the value and,
On $500,000 a floor.
yeah. But it was 4. I think the 6 was their ultimate goal. I sit on planning and I couldn't tell you if they would approve that or not. Till it all comes down, you know.
Oh, I wrote down here, still in if it can't be 6 floors and it had to be 3.
Yeah, that's what I heard as well.
I heard that too, but are you talking about just lopping off the top 3 floors? Or are you talking about a whole nother design and a whole nother,
Well, 3 is allowed now.
I understand, but
Well, so why wouldn't the design work for 3?
I'm saying it would. I'm asking if that's the plan, or if the plan is we can't have 6 stories, we're gonna go back to the drawing board and come up with a different 3. Then you're talking
If
6
only
months. a
somebody
year.
from
I know, but we're
Copper Rock
not,
was here.
we're deliberating, I'm not trying to get
These
into.
3 floors would put in approximately how many
Here's the problem with asking.
rentals
You
Yeah.
can't,
or condos?
Here, you can't, because if we had chosen Barkus and Dean, they're not here to ask
That's
questions.
true.
So we can't have a back and forth with them.
I would believe that Copper Rock, I think even if they had to go to 3 and they do 6 as out of the question, may come back and ask for more. And if not, I still think knowing their quality and I did research them through people I know still in the industry and they all said the same thing, that if they do it, they're gonna go
Okay,
forward.
here's my other concern, does it become a back burner? So 6-story project is gonna generate a lot of money, I would think. You can't have 6 stories, you can only have 3. Then is it, okay, now I'm gonna go do the downtown Grand Rapids project, and then this project first, right, and build up.
I think that's where your development agreement
Yeah.
spells that out with the
Yeah.
timeline.
Don't we have contingency, can't we have contingency on if planning commission were to deny you some floors and you were to
Yeah,
jump
I
to your
would-
3-floor plan, the time you have to
I'm not
implement is.
doubting, I don't want you to think I'm doubting their ability to do the project. I believe they have the ability to do the project. And I believe they have the ability to do
You can
it
craft
very
it
well.
Well, I had a concern, because I wrote this down, not certain, is on their financial plan. They're still looking for monies. I didn't believe that they had it all. That they were looking for
They were looking either
support,
possibly going for a brownfield,
brownfield, and
CRP,
that part of it, so.
which, I mean,
Which I think most
developers are gonna look for that.
Yes.
And you can't get answers to those questions until you
Right,
have
yeah.
tangible that we can go forward with.
Yeah.
You can on some things,
Yeah.
but
Nobody's gonna give you a
I
yes.
mean,
hey,
that's what I got out of it. And,
If I finish
I
out of
wouldn't-
this pool
I
of
wouldn't-
5.
I wouldn't caution yourself with the fact they're gonna go to the MEDC for
No,
development, because quite frankly, I can tell you that probably, you know, and granted, a lot of the people here today weren't. 90% of, especially your larger development firms, they know that game, they do it.
If they're hiring Norcross, Judd and, they're the ones with the giant ass building
giant
downtown.
building.
And the other concern that I did not certain was number 3, the proposal projected is compatible based on 6 stories. Today it is not compatible, so, but I did give them some extremely strong agreements in other categories that made up for them to give me a really good score. So there was a couple non-certain, but there were some very strong agrees with the project as well.
and I agree with you on 3.
So that's what I had for that particular one.
Leah Copper Rock.
I guess to add on in regards to finances, for me, this is not an avenue that I know very much about. So when a firm has 4 different avenues that they're willing to walk down to find the proper finances, that tells me that they've done their homework, they know what they're up against, that they're willing to do it. So maybe from your knowledge, that scored you down because of those questionable aspects, but for me, that meant they're doing the homework, they're gonna come to me with the answers that I don't have. And so I actually scored them higher on that.
Okay.
But
And AB, I did too, didn't I? I'm
Not-
sorry.
not to disregard your opinion, just a different perspective on how I'm looking at that. I don't know, I like it.
Cliff.
The reason that I had them up high is I've seen their stuff,
Mm-hmm.
not just in Lowell, but all around Grand Rapids. I was amazed that they were bidding on this,
Yeah,
frankly.
I've never
Not
seen their
amazed,
sign go
but-
up and have a project go unfinished or unkept.
Yep.
It's all sharp looking stuff.
All right, anything else on Copper Rock? Kathy?
So, I think Greg's extending the hotel over is a wonderful idea. We'll embrace that idea. As far as number 3, that one goes, I actually gave him a 5 because it takes him a while. It's like the little steam engine that could, but eventually he gets there and it gets done and it's nice and it does bring people to town. It's the timeline of how long it's gonna take to start and when his projected finish is. Granted, it's a little bit more money, but is the extra worth the waiting time while it gets done?
The one aspect I liked about that was when he said the words that make me happy, under promise and over deliver. I would rather have somebody say, hey, I think it's gonna take me 3 years, and then we're all tickled when it's 18 months, than somebody saying, oh, yeah, that knocked out in a year, and
Well, he did say he could accelerate the timeline.
Yep.
I also think if you're looking for number 5, you can walk 4 blocks and see a
Yeah.
proven track record
Right,
of doing it properly. The Main Street Inn ideally shouldn't even be there. It should have been torn down. He didn't have to walk in there and say, hey, he didn't have to come back to a second meeting and say, hey, Plan B. You saw the before pictures of the Canfield building? So the before, he could have bailed on Spring Road the first time he stepped on the floor without all the shelves on it. That's what I would have done. I would have left. Because that's an extra 60, 70, whatever it ended up being. But, and if you're talking about keeping it historically accurate, or I guess it wouldn't be accurate because it never was, but keeping it in line with what we're trying to do downtown, I would argue you're gonna have a hard time finding somebody better.
You mean keep the look that's already been established?
Yes, the downtown feel is his specialty, I think, my opinion. I don't know about, also, how perfect is that for events? Now you have somewhere to stay for 2 nights at Riverwalk, and you have somewhere to stay for Christmas through Lowell, and you're not relying on the same 6 or 8 residents to frequent your downtown. You constantly have a flush of new people coming every 2-3 days.
And it makes merchants happy when they see no vacant signs out front.
Yeah.
Because you know they're gonna be up and down our main.
Well,
street.
if you're driving through and you see no vacancies, how many times you go there, stop and check out what's going on?
Mhm.
The timeline was a concern for me too, but it was mentioned that it could be sped up, and maybe it's an overpromise, so I'd be interested to find out.
Yeah, because I think where we move forward with that, that would have to be addressed.
My other favorite part was, if I can't get it done, you can just have it back.
Oh, yeah. But then we'll be sitting here doing this again, so.
No, I understand that, but that leads me to believe
Yep,
he has no intention of it not getting done.
correct.
You're not gonna say that.
I believe the top 2 contenders were 2 that, they both expressed that.
Yeah, and
There was the one, Todd said, yeah, you could buy it back plus whatever I spend on environmental studies and this
Well, that's
and
why I
that.
asked the question, the original cost or,
Right, yeah, thank you for asking that.
the other thing, it's not so much for us, but there's a huge delta in the cash offer of 40 grand that goes to Low Light and Power. And they thought that was a huge difference between the 110 and 150 cash that Greg is offering. So it didn't ask that on there, but I actually gave Greg a few extra points just because of the cash offer of 150 grand. It's a huge delta.
Yep.
I kind of tried to, the minimum bid kind of, for me, phased out who wasn't gonna be in the running. I think there was only one that didn't
One that
qualify,
didn't put
right?
100,000.
After that, I couldn't care. If it's 100,000 or it's more, I couldn't care less what the number is. You're committing 100,000 more than I'm committing to the building, so above and beyond that is a moot point to me. But I think it's, on another note, I think it's very, not selfish, bold of Light and Power to say, hey, we might have been fine with it at this dollar amount, but we're not fine with it at this. Like, we're doing all the work here, but that's another conversation for another day. It is selfish, I should have just said something. Jim Canfield? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Leah?
So a few comments actually jumped out at me as concerning. So he talked about being self-funded up to $1 million, what this project, and then he said, and then when we talked about cost, he said 750 to 1.5, maybe 2 million. So where does that other $1 million come from? What does that look like? How does that slow the project down? And then he also said, in the same answer, he said, I'm the seat of the pants kind of guy. And I don't take Copper Rock as a seat of the pants kind of guy. So that's why I didn't get my vote. Copper Rock did.
All right, any final thoughts, Marty?
I gotta admit, the top two that we're talking about right now are, it's a close on my scoring. But I do have one I'm gonna pick, so we'll wait till then.
It's a terrible way to play.
You're welcome, Phil.
No, you know, the negative I see from Copper Rock is the parking aspect of it. I mean, that was the one thing I really liked about Todd's proposal was, I mean, obviously it wasn't as many units. And that's, the reason I put Copper on top was I'm thinking in terms of how many low light power customers, how many this, how many that, what the long-term financial impact, positive impact for the city. That's why I put it at number one. But then the flip side of that is, okay, let's say we got 18 units there, where the hell's the 30.2 cars gonna park?
Like I've said it before, parking's a good problem.
Good problem to have.
And eventually someday, when we're done with roads, we're gonna have to probably.
Build a parking fee,
Yeah, we're gonna go underground here.
whatever.
The other thing is with a hotel, you coordinate because then that's a business. And you say, hey, Ability Weavers needs to close the road XXX. You know what I mean? Where you can't do that with a resident. Nobody's gonna come to my driveway and say, hey, somebody wants to have a festival there, go park down the street. No, I'm not doing that.
You wouldn't?
The trade-off though, is
Depends
in
on the
down-
festival.
the trade-off is in
You
downtown
would.
living, that's usually what happens.
I understand that, but
Yeah, you get to look over the river.
And your downtown living is a viable customer up and down the main street, right? It's still there, it's just, it's there differently. I can give you a good example is we're now, people down here at the condos down here at Brett's are just finding our main
Yeah.
street and are blown away, had no idea that we have the products and the services on our main street, and they're becoming repeat customers, so it really does work. It takes it a minute, but it gets going.
Yeah, I think when, you know, if somebody were to move into these residences, you're talking about people who have visitors, family that come into town, friends who come into town, they host things on the river, and then you have repeat customers, and then you have people who want to come back and invest or, are you okay?
Oh, it's like a mini stabbed in.
did you go back to the doctor? It's
Yes.
really infected.
No, he said it's, the nerves firing back up.
Marty, you made a comment that you'd like to go see Copper Rock's four-story building. Would you like to see that before a decision is made, or what are you thinking?
No, I have the advantage of, I can reach out to people in the industry, right? And I can ask the questions and nobody seemed to have an issue. They, basically, if they had to go against them, they would, but they all say the same thing, that they're a quality company, they do a good job. The buildings they build are of the best quality of the material you can get at the time. The people they know that are currently either renting, whether it be retail or whatever, are extremely happy, and I couldn't find any bad vibe out there anywhere. I'm sure if I'd have kept digging a little bit farther, I'm sure I would, because there's bad vibes about
About
everybody,
everybody.
right? So, I just think it's a tough decision.
very close. Here's the thing, it's a sale of property, so it requires 4 votes, not 3. So if somebody would like to make a motion one way or the other, I'll entertain it, but remember you have to have 4 votes out of 5.
You don't need it tonight, but you will need it in the 20 days. 4 votes.
But we can tonight.
You cannot sell the property tonight.
Well,
Basically, what you're directing me tonight is to prepare a
Oh, so you need
resolution.
3 votes for the resolution,
I
4
can-
votes for the
You're gonna
sale.
need 4 votes of the
Oh,
sale.
well, then you only need 3, so
You need-
somebody
But
wants.
but the thing is if you don't have 4
Later.
at the sale, it dies.
Right,
So if we don't have 4 tonight,
So you're better,
let's
you're probably in a better, my suggestion would be, you probably wanna move with 4.
Yeah.
But legally, you don't need 4.
you don't need 4 to make the resolution, you need
Correct.
4 for the sale. So make
But-
a motion for the resolution, but know that you'll need 4 to get it sold in 20 days. How about that?
Right, that's, I mean, you can direct me on 3, but
It's gonna be a moot point in 20 days.
it's gonna be a moot point in 20 days
One.
if you don't.
And we can't deliberate in the meantime, so you really should be looking for 4 right now.
Yeah.
Because we can't talk about our votes outside of the meeting.
I agree. So with that, I'll make a motion that, we put her out there and vote at our next meeting.
Well, you have to,
20 days.
no, but you have
You
to
have to make a
have,
motion
We have to make
you have to make a motion
Resolution
to
tonight.
have him.
If you wanna make a
prepare for
resolution
one of
tonight,
the
if you
two.
wanna, if you wanna table this to Monday,
No,
No,
I
okay.
want to make a resolution that we, you,
you have to pick one of the 2.
oh,
You can't just, we can't just talk about it with 4 votes because it has to be prepared. And sit for 20 days, so it has to be one of the 2.
then I make a motion that Copper Rock be awarded the contract.
I'll support.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Sue?
Councilmember Groves,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Salzweedl,
No.
Councilmember Yankovic,
Yes.
and Mayor DeVore.
No. Motion carries. Council comments, Marty?
I think I have it.
So, is there going to, so now we have nobody then?
But you only needed 3 for the resolution.
Okay, so we're gonna put on the agenda.
You have to try it. They got their motion and their
Okay.
second and their affirmative,
Okay, all right.
so we have to go.
You're right,
through it.
you're right, you're right, you're right, you're
You'll
right.
need 4 to sell.
Okay, you're right.
Nothing?
Nope.
Cliff? Jim?
I'm good.
Leah?
I just want to say thank you to everybody who brought up her proposal to the table. I love knowing that people want to invest in our city. It's a very cool thing.
Nicely said.
Yeah, very well said. Jim?
Make a motion to adjourn at
8:15.
8:15.
I'll support.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying yep.
Yes.
Obviously.
Jim has to stay.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.